All right, guys, on tonight's episode, we check out everything night vision. All right, guys, I'm out here in Florida with the guys from TNVC. I've got Mr. Sam Houston and Don Edwards, and these guys are experts at everything night vision. So what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to start everything with like the most basic setup all the way to the really big boy setup of money is no objective. So Sam, let's talk about basic setups. What's the most basic setup for as far as night vision goes?
As far as night vision goes, most people dip their feet in the night vision pool by going with the tried and true PVS 14, which is the standard issue monocular for like U.S. infantry, Marine Corps, Army troops.
Pretty much that exact setup is what I had through 9 years of service, and it's a great setup. As far, I mean, so
the tubes have continuously become better and better through manufacturing and technology upgrades. So nowadays the image quality in this tube is the same as any of the high-end stuff. The tubes in this could be as good as what DevCrew or Delta are running. So
awesome. And what's kind of the price point of these?
For one of these, factor in about $3,000.
So about $3,000 kind of gets you started off with night vision. And then as far as like say the next step, if somebody has a little bit more money to spend on a set of nods,
right.
What's kind of the next step that they would go to?
Generally speaking, they'd bump up to a set of duals, and you can get into a good set of duals starting at about $7,000 and running up to well over $10,000.
Yeah, that's not bad. And something that you guys do at TNVC is you guys build these in-house, right, Don?
Yes, we build PVS 14s in-house. We have our own line. We also sell pre-built ones. And the Sentinels, the Mod 3s, and the DTNVGs. I'd like to add one real quick thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say an intermediate step up from a PVS 14 would be a PVS 14 with a white phosphor tube. So we will also build those with the unfilmed white phosphor tube,
right,
which basically enhances the capability of your monocular.
So talk about white phosphorus, because I'm used to the traditional green. Okay. Just like everybody else, everybody is seeing through movies and videos, everybody sees a traditional green. Now, talking to you guys a little bit earlier is the white phosphorus, the unfiltered white phosphorus.
Right.
What's the benefit of going to like a white phosphorus versus the traditional green?
Okay, so white phosphor, the way the image is projected to you, what you see, it's the light is amplified, the photons become electrons, they're multiplied, they're reprojected onto a phosphor screen. Back in the day, because the eye sees so many more shades of green than any other color, it was decided that green would give us the best contrast.
Okay.
Now we've seen that, well, the white with a little bit of a tint to it that they put on it gives plenty good contrast, but it gives you a brighter image.
Right.
So and just by changing that, it gives you 20 to 30% brighter image of what you're looking at.
Okay, and what about clarity? Does it change the clarity at all? Is it a little bit more clear?
In and of itself does not change the clarity.
Okay, and that's more of like a tube build?
It is a tube characteristic. So,
okay.
For instance, if you buy a white phosphor tube from us in any type of build, we only use the L3 unfilmed white phosphor, which is basically unfilmed is like the aviation grade tube.
So that's going to be a higher grade tube itself. So
to start with.
So for people,
even if it was green, it would be higher spec than your average green.
Okay, that makes sense.
Whereas other companies might just change the color of the screen, therefore not changing the specs of the tube itself. L3 only makes their white phosphor tubes using their unfilmed tubes.
Most people...
That's the other reason for the price jump.
We find that most people fixate on the term white phosphor when you should really be fixating on unfilmed. When the tube goes from a film system to an unfilmed system, that is where you gain the most capability. There are different types of white phosphor. There's Gen 2 white phosphor, there's filmed white phosphor, and then there is unfilmed white phosphor.
So unfilmed being the big bad boy of the white phosphorus setups.
I mean, it's
current high spec, aviation grade, what SOCOM and JSOC are getting in their tubes.
So what the big boys are playing with.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about the Sentinel, because I looked through these. These things are gnarly. It's insane what they do. So this is kind of more of the more expensive if you've got a little bit more money, oh, real quick, what's the difference between the standard PVS-14 and a PVS-14 with unfilmed white phosphorus?
The only difference is the tube inside and the price.
Okay, so what's the price difference?
The price difference, it's about $850 more.
So if you're already going to spend $3,000, the $800 bump is well worth it.
And I tell folks who call in and we'll talk for 20 minutes to an hour sometimes. Conservatively speaking, this system is going to last you at least 10 years, maybe more like 20 years realistically. So
wow.
For the average user, a lifetime.
Right, what's $850 over
10 years?
10 to 20 years.
Yeah, if we're being conservative, 10 years, $800 is really nothing. And you get a better capability right out of the box.
The only reason, and we sell the stuff, but the only reason not to go white phosphor is if your wife absolutely will kill you.
This guy.
If you can afford it, the capability gain is pretty significant.
Never heard of anybody regretting.
No.
Okay, so that's the thing. It's like, and then let's talk about the Sentinels.
Okay.
Because these things are
Go ahead
awesome.
and pull these off of this helmet here.
Okay, and of course, every time I talk about these guys, I'm going to put up an image over some stuff so you can kind of see the difference. I'm definitely going to, right now, I'll be putting up an image that is both the green and the unfilmed white phosphorus, so people can really see the difference.
Great.
And they can really kind of tell what's a little bit better for what they want. So the Sentinels, let's talk about these bad boys.
So Sentinels, I'm personally a big fan, as we were talking about before we started filming. Now the tubes on the inside are the same. They can be gotten in the standard Omni 8, which is current military contract, military issue, which is in most PVS-14s going out to the guys in the field right now, or unfilmed. We could get them with unfilmed green, but mainly we do unfilmed white phosphorus.
So
it's going to be the Omni 8 tube or the Jump Up, which unfortunately that $850 now is per
tube. Yeah, I mean it makes it.
Now we're looking at about $2,000 more for the white phosphor version.
And now you guys build these.
We do.
So you guys hand select tubes.
We put the tubes in. We have a minimum requirement, a minimum spec that we'll receive from the manufacturer.
Right.
And they're built into these. So these all have mil spec. We source the parts from the same places that the PVS-14.
And you guys are using like L3, and then what other company do you guys kind of use
Harris,
from?
Which used to be
Harris. ITT Harris.
Okay, ITT Harris. Okay.
So
Excelis.
Yeah. So the lenses are the same as what's in the mil spec builds. The great thing the reason I like these is their durability and ruggedness. So these are machined out of Delrin. Each one is pods. It's not injection molded reinforced plastic like the other stuff, which is fine, but these things are rock solid. I mean, you can drop them and not worry about them.
Let's not do that because those are kind of expensive.
They've been referred to as an up armored MVG. So they've been made to be durable for door kickers on the ground.
Yeah, and I held these things, and I know you guys can't see it in the video, but they don't move. Like there is adjustability as far as from the eyes spreading open and close. What do you call it?
Interpupillary.
Interpupillary. I'm going to use the fluffy guy term and just go it opens and closes depending on your distance to your eyes. But they have a little bit of adjustability here, but they're solid. Like you could, like he was saying, you could chuck
a man's skull in with it.
Yeah, and they're
back on your helmet and keep going.
Yeah, and they're nice and solid. And something like this, so this is kind of the big boy option. What's something like this going to run people?
They start at about $7,800.
Okay.
Go up to just over $9,000 for the unfilmed white phosphor.
Okay, so $9,000 for a dual setup. Right. Now we have something similar to this. We have another kind of, is it another type of Sentinel or is it something a little bit different?
It is different. However, they can be had with the same types of tubes on the inside.
Okay, so the tubes would be the same, but it's
tubes
literally
are the same. It's the housing.
It's the housing. So this one spreads using knobs on the side, and I'll of course go a little bit closer on these, but these actually expand on like a hinge.
Right.
Now granted, that's tough to open those up. But the nice thing from what we were talking about earlier is if say you're walking through and you kind of want to take off one to look at something, you can literally lift one side and go to a monocular setup. So if you're shooting a rifle or a long rifle and you need to go into a scoped optic, you can kind of move that around.
Or one of the things that guys like about this capability is when they have them up and they know they're going to be up for a period of time, they can fold them like that and basically redistribute that weight.
Bring that weight back.
Head, so it's not as much. So that is a desirable trait.
Now
it's very similar to the PVS-31.
Okay.
This current, SOCOM issue.
Yeah, which are amazing. set of
They're
setups.
awesome. So this has some of those same characteristics. They are very rugged, but there is this, you know, this right here. I mean, like I said, one of the reasons I like these is less moving parts, less
Right.
potential points of failure.